Hello. Hi, everyone. I welcome Shan from on the behalf of DataMites team. Hi, Shan. Shan
Hi.
has been our alumni. And Shan, can you just introduce yourself? What
Yeah.
is your journey all about? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Shan Kuriakose, and I come from Kerala. I studied DataMites. I think my time with DataMites was quite long because I first for some portion I took regular classes. Then I got an employment. Then I had to come back and finish the certification and all. So I'm not going to put a specific timeline, but I'll say from 2021, I think I started, I mean, 2020 last, I think. So ever since I got interested in data science. So DataMites was my starting point. Then speaking about my career journey, I have been like working in this AI space for the past 4 or 5 years now. I have worked in, Rubik's. I started with Rubik's, then went on to work with the UC Pro where I played that AIML full stacker role. Full stacker in the sense, you have to create these components. For example, I mean front end components and all to integrate these AI services that you build. So I was playing that full stacker kind of a role there. And like that's how I started. But 6 months down the line, I was kind of running the show there. Like that time, I was like into that 3 year experience range. Then I went on to work with Green Rider Technology. Now they have changed their name to Ethara.ai. So there I was into this LLM, and I worked on two projects, namely one was a student GPT where I got an LLM to behave like a teacher. So that was one of the interesting projects that I worked on. Then towards the last time before I left, I worked on a security project that is also into generative AI. So it was basically computer vision plus generative AI. So we then now there is this vision models has this vision capabilities, right? And last company is the company currently what I am working at is called DataMites, and it's quite near to DataMites and all. It's in Bominali. I work as a senior consultant to data and AI there. So my primary interest lies in agentic AI, LLMs, and things like that. But I do share a background in full stack development. That's because before all of this began, I had a time freelancing, building websites and things like that. So yeah, that would be just
That's quite an interesting journey.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting journey. And now, like our audience is most of them is if they want to get into AI, or they are the students of data mites. Basically, they are interested into AI. Now, LLMs, generative. I mean to say LLMs and building applications around the LLMs, building MCP servers, agents. This has been kind of key trending words. So, can you just advise on what kind of projects we can do on the agentic side, and also what kind of frameworks do you use in your
Yes,
uh, current or previous
correct,
companies?
correct, correct, correct. So at Emits, we have our own frameworks. We have a proper, like a big AI, I mean, setup for AI itself. There are like few engineers like me who are actively working and contributing to that space. At but let's say, but Green Rider and all, we primarily relied on, let's say, LangChain, and there is frameworks like Crew AI, Pydantic AI. So, by the way, Pydantic is a validation framework that you can use in Fast API, but this is not that Pydantic. This is a framework, proper framework, which helps you to orchestrate agents and things like that. So these are some good, and also by another good thing that comes along with is that see, these libraries are going massive change, like almost like 2 months there is some API breaking changes are happening. For example, earlier in langchain.agents you could find lot of agents. Now they have moved that into a new, I mean, that was there, but they have now changed it to a new umbrella called landgraph.agent. So such changes are happening. That means earlier that code used to work, but now it will not. So the point is that to have that passion and ride in that wave of changing technology is what actually really matters. So you stay updated to the changes that are actually happening around. So that would be my advice. Also, on a side note, I would highly recommend to maybe take a full stack course, because you need, sometimes you will be working on this legacy systems, etc., because that's where you put agents, because that has this business logic that kept this firm running for, let's say, 30 to 40 years, and now you are bringing the light of AI to these firms. But if you still don't know how the systems work in general, how are you going to plug in your systems to the existing architecture? So that, in that light, I would highly recommend taking a full stack course as well. So yeah, at least you should know what happens.
Yeah, so definitely, just to summarize, like, on the coding side, things are very dynamic, and of course, you need to have your virtual environments pakka so
Yeah.
that it doesn't break things up later on. Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, interestingly, like I see a lot of people using OpenAI, basically enterprise OpenAI keys to do everything. But I'm curious, do you also use open source models also?
Yeah, actually, see, this is a good question. So everybody uses, see, an LLM. See, there are many companies who are giving this LLMs, right? I mean, OpenAI's model is there, Anthropic's model is there. Now, I think Cloud 4.5, we call it Opus, and Cloud Haiku. Those are the leading ones. And then you have a few models from Kimi and few other players there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and there are these open source models who are actually catching up quite fast. But the
Mm-hmm.
question is this: how are you? See, in some companies, in some cases, you don't want the data to be going to Anthropic server or OpenAI server, because you don't really know what they are going to do with your data. For example, if it is some critical data that you have, the companies wouldn't let that happen. So in that case, what you do is that you take an open source model, then sometimes you fine tune it, sometimes you don't, because some models out of the box itself is good. For example, that deep sea car one, right? It is quite good. I mean, that thinking model, and QN is also quite good. And by the way, there, if like to the students who are there, there is something called LLM Arena. All of you should check it out, and you can see that leaderboard, how well there is this open source models as well as closed source model evaluated against a benchmark, and you can see how these models are actually performing. And you would choose one model. Sometimes you fine tune that, see if you want to basically host it on a core closed environment somewhere. Then you basically when I say host, I mean you have to use things like VLLM and the other inference engines, etc., to host it, and then you use that endpoint as your LLM endpoint. Also, just to play around, there is another service called Olama, which is very simple. You can actually one click download it. Actually, that should be a good starting point to get a feel of like how LLMs do inferencing, how you can actually get that feeling. Like you don't really have to send your data to Anthropic or something. And one more thing I want to add, earlier, right? I mean, LLM rise happened somewhere in 2022, I think. But now there was a gap at that time. Like open source models were not even half good compared to these closed source ones. But now they are actually catching up quite fast. Uh, see, now they are really good. For example, DeepSeek and all is like production grade, really good. And so that's, I think, as an if I were a student now, I would have actually installed Olama and started playing around with it. So that would be my first thing I would do. Yeah,
Definitely local host, you get everything at
correct, correct, correct.
everything. So yeah, yeah, Olama is really, it has come to our, it's like a small software, you install it and you
Hmm.
have your LLM locally. Yeah, true,
Correct.
true. So Hugging Face and all will take lot of time, definitely
Correct.
installing all the dependencies and all. Definitely, Olama is a good tip from your side.
Hmm.
Quite interesting. One question I have. I'm curious. Like, do you use small models also?
Yeah.
Like very
So
small models you see in Olama or Hugging Face. You see very small models, specialized models. Yeah.
yeah. So on, let's say, so the idea is this. Okay. So small language models. The idea is this to make tool calling. Okay. So should I talk a bit about tool
Yeah,
calling?
sure, sure, definitely.
You would
Because
understand what? Yeah.
tool calling is instruction models are kind of that would be really helpful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So see, sometimes this model, for example, you have your emails, right? And let's say you want to do something when, or you want that LLM to generate frame a response based on an email you got. There are two ways. One is that you can manually copy this email and put it into this LLM and say, okay, hey, this is the email that I got. Can you write a response based on this? That would be one approach. The second approach is that you can create a tool that is quite capable enough to go to your inbox and get that email and supplement it as like context to the model without you manually doing it. Right. So in tools there are something called functions is like what actually lets you do this. Okay, that's the idea. And by the way, now the world has evolved to a point where we now use MCPs to establish this kind of tasks. That is MCPs, model context protocol. By the way, I know I'm throwing a
No,
lot
no, it's
of
okay.
words.
It's okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because even though it may not make sense immediately,
Um,
that a new word comes up, you get curiosity to go and search for it. And
correct,
that's how we learn that.
correct, correct.
So
Yeah,
first time, may not know something, but you go there, you pick the word
yeah,
and you learn more that way.
yeah.
That's another approach of learning, I think.
Correct, 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 correct. Actually, that's how I learned because when I went into this data world, half of the things that were taught back then did not make a sense because then I took the pain to explore. I still remember what Ashok Veda sir those told me though in the first class. So he built a black box model. I think it was a rhino forest model. I kept asking him questions like, "How are you getting this?" So this was basic. Okay, we'll talk about that later. So let me go in this direction and complete that answer that I was trying to.
Sure, sure, sure.
So these models will get that capability of accessing inboxes or let's say doing other stuff. That's the idea of like giving supplementing them with the tools, right? So once so, so this is also a very good thing, right? If you have an LLM that is running locally, think about writing a tool and letting that LLM to maybe help telling it that hey, you can use this command line and create a directory or things. Sometimes models can reason and execute these steps. Okay, that's where and there is also another interesting take here. To execute this tool calling and all, you don't really need to have these big models, but you want specialist models that are actually quite good in this regard, right? So that's where this sometimes you use small language models and all. For example, now there is few researchers going from, I think it is from NVIDIA, and they are actually actively recommending for the small language models and all. There is another use case too about small. See, when I run, see, now I am talking to you from a Mac Mini. Actually, it's a desktop PC, and it has somewhere around 16 GB of unified memory. But that lets you to install, let's say, a few models through Olama. Okay. And one thing I did is that instead I scraped the copilot off because I don't want my see sometimes I code in this machine. I don't want the data to go into their server and all. So I installed a few models through Olama and to fill the next word, you call it FII model. So there are many model type of models. There is chat models. There are instruction following models. There are models that are fine tuned for let's say coding, and there is for this kind of task, what Copilot does is that it fills the next words, predicts the next tokens. That is actual, data science way of saying it, I think. So for FII so it is called FII models. That's the name that we use. For that also, you don't need these huge big models. For that specific task, you might need only a small model. So what I did is that through Alama, I installed a few models that are actually particularly fine-tuned for that, and I'm using that. So this kind of specific task sometimes does not need a 670 billion model or something. That wouldn't make any sense, right? So that's my take on that. So it all depends on, to answer that question, like what my thoughts on the small language models. I think for specific tasks, it all depends on this depth of the task, and you choose the right model for that. Also, one more thing I want to add. So I have a friend who works at Google. So they have this T for silicon chips. Okay, they are now working on a new architecture. I think that might be there now. So the idea is that see, these model weights can be like, you see the models weights are actually, if you have gone to Hugging Face, you know how this model weights are actually stored. They are actually divided, might be divided into three, four like sessions, and they are stored as safe tensors. Okay. So when a query comes, what happens is that this model weights are actually stored, got into this GPUs via virtual RAM, and basically that's where this like inferencing starts and all. I mean, there is things like KV cache and things. They are very technical, so I'm not going there. But the point is
Sure,
that,
sure.
yeah, but the point is that you can see, think about this. Let for a small query like hi, to say hello back, hi there, or something like that, you don't really need, let's say, 675 billion parameters. You might need just a small portion of that to figure out how much model weight should I need to, I mean, how much parameters they should I need to respond to this query. That's a tricky question, and a lot of research is going on in that regard. Even big players are also moving towards that direction, where you dynamically load model weights to generate responses. That, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah. So I think going forward, that would be one change that will happen. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, that's quite interesting insight. I don't know, I'm not like completely aware, but is it like something like mixture of expert concept? Because
A mixture of expert is bit different, I think. That
okay,
started with yeah, that comes in the early layers, right? I'm talking
okay,
about something that happens in the attention space, attention
okay,
mechanism. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. That's quite interesting. Yeah, yeah. That's a very
Yeah.
interesting conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like coming back to our students or audience point of view, like what? So basically, your suggestion: use Olama and start using building
Get
some
the feel,
application, get
yeah,
hands
get the
dirty.
feeling dirty. Yeah,
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 that's the
yeah.
thing.
Definitely start coding it. So yeah, you have a kind of more than 5 years of experience. So you as an interviewer, you might have taken a lot of interviews. What do
Yeah.
you see in the candidates? How do you recruit? How you technical rounds and all? What any tips for our audience on
Yeah.
that side?
I actually I have done. See, I have given interviews. I have taken interviews, and I've been there in this space for some time, right? So, one thing that I definitely look for is that uh, maybe thinking from first principles. That is like uh, that originality in their approach and their thoughts. See, if I ask somebody, obviously data structures you need to know, that is like a must. But also you should have that ability to improvise and see. I also know these things, and when I ask a question, I expect that he is able to improvise and put that original thought there. Like, see, for example, there is an approach called the 2 pointers, right? You keep 2 pointers when you move across arrays to actually get some solution. It's a faster. Otherwise, you have to, the complexity increases. But see, when you try to introduce some new, let's say, some modifications to the problem, how you respond to that actually matters. Because I and you, we both know that, okay, that problem is available on code or some platform like that, but how you respond to that, follow-up questions really matters, in my understanding. Okay, that's one point. And now I came to Bangalore quite recently because I was working in Gurugram. And there was a little phase where I gave some interviews, and I will give one experience. Okay, so this was a remote role there in Europe, and I tried for that. Okay, they were looking for a senior machine learning engineer, so that was the designation. Okay, so this guy came, joined on the call, and he said that there is a slight modification to the requirement. We need somebody who's good with Fast API, who can host models and things like that. So I said, yeah, I know Fast API. Then what he did is that he opened the code editor, asked me to code like a proper endpoint in Fast API. He told me that you can even look up documentation and all. See, this kind of interviews also will happen. So the point is
Okay.
that you should be very good with the coding, and you should code day in and day out, no matter if you are working or not. You should pick up some projects. And also, by the way, I have created few open source projects, and I have contributed to some open source projects. So that also matters in the long run. So be active and be visible in that community will help you to switch roles quite faster, because you would know somebody, right? And you can call him and ask him to refer. And these people are also will be in good position. So
Yeah,
please,
definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, that's what I think.
Sometimes we want to learn something, but
Yeah,
you don't know what is the actual thing we need to learn and which direction we need to go.
yeah,
That's simply the guidance also helps us a lot.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that's how different interviews you have seen. Like any at the end of the day, students want like some questions. What Python? How much they ask? There's beginners, freshers kind of thing. How much the Python code they will ask.
You are asking for junior roles.
Juniors also, because there are
Uh,
juniors also will be also then,
Correct, correct.
because
So
you have.
yeah, for that, see, for junior roles and all, it's very, I think interviews are comparatively easy. There will not be
Okay,
much questions on system design.
okay.
See, you will get only the first round normally would be technical round, and the
Mm-hmm.
second round will be technical, and somebody like a team lead would take that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
first round. Okay, I'll go through the normal procedure. What from my experience.
Mm-hmm.
See, first round will be normally an HR screening. That will be the
Mhm.
first round. Second
Mhm.
round will be a technical question.
Mm.
That will be basically normally somebody from the team will take that round.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So this guy will be like 3, 4 years senior role. That's it. Okay. Then
Mhm.
the next
Okay,
round will be somebody like a TL will take that round,
okay.
and there will be a manager round, and that's like, and then there is HR negotiation and things like that. This is let's say, this is an let's say what I have seen, this is the pattern, but there may be some slight variation.
Okay, but generally it is
uh,
easy kind of thing. But for more experienced candidates, you have like
Yeah, there you will have more rounds. For example, you will have one round on system design, and
Mhm.
there, yeah. Also, you have to, for example, they might ask you to design, let's say, a payment, let's say, payment system or something,
Okay.
or one endpoint that can handle payments. So this kind of questions can come and happen. But
At
I
the top level, more it's about you should know the overall
well,
architecture
correct,
kind of.
correct, correct, correct.
That's
Yeah, yeah. So that difference is there. But knowing coding and the thinking ability to think it through, that really matters, I feel. And
Mm-hmm.
also, but I also suggest one more thing. Like, see, all of this doesn't matter. That ability to have that passion and that enthusiasm about to know about things that are actually happening around you. See, all these things that I discussed about LLM, that are
Mm-hmm.
happening right now, actually.
Yes,
So,
true, true.
so to be able to ride in that wave, also to be part of an organization that is actually implementing and also actively looking out and doing all those things. That happened with me while I was at UC Pro, at Green Rider, at ABITS also. We are actually very active in that regard.
Awesome.
So such things really matters. And to be like to get such opportunities, I think you should cultivate that enthusiasm. That's what really matters. I mean, rest
Yeah, yeah.
everything
I
will
can see
come.
that energy in you definitely.
Yeah.
So we have not seen this energy in like our talks and all. I am really thankful that for showing this energy. And final question from my side. I
Yeah.
don't know. Whether I'm is it am I extending too much? If it's okay. So, how much of the Copilot and all you will be using in your company?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in all this organizations, everybody is using all Copilot and
Mhm.
whatever AI technologies that
Mhm.
you can use. So, but but the thing is that for, let's say, the thought has to come from you. Then you
Okay.
can make some AI agents
Sure.
to do that, let's say, thing and all. But the
Yeah.
design, original thought, and the problem solution, etc., has to come from you, and you need
Yes.
to be the owner of that. And so,
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, yeah, that's all, Shan. It was very interesting to speak with you, and like I know, uh, still I have so many questions, but the because of timing and all,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, definitely I would like to connect like sometime offline
sure,
also and
sure,
discuss
sure,
these
sure,
things.
sure.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for the energy, enthusiasm. Like it's awesome.
Yeah. DataMites is like a home to me actually, yeah, because that's where everything began, and I was blessed to have some good teachers, good pointers that I could look up to. But obviously, my efforts were there. Like obviously, I was this not just this energetic. It was throughout my career. Like I was so interested in technology and so passionate about it. So that was there throughout. But database was a good turning point, and I thank people like Ashok sir, the CEO, and uh, now I have few Jesse left, and there is Rekha, and there is Shalini. I thank her as well because she also helped me, and then there are few people like yeah, I mean, to name everyone is going to be a big
Yeah,
list.
sure,
So
sure.
yeah, yeah. So all the people out there, especially Gajendra and his friend there. So I'm actually extending my gratefulness to all of these people, and the institution once helped me to actually have a grasp on data and data science. And thankfully, now I'm actually walking in that path because of that
Yes.
guidance you guys provided me. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any questions from audience? Can you just post it, Shali or Laila? Yeah. Okay. There's no questions. Anyhow. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Yeah.